Marketing SEO. The money is in the list. Welcome to the Marketing Club, where you get the best information, you get fresh information, and you get up to date content where you can learn, you can grow, you can understand a few concepts, you can learn a few things that could help you as a business grow. And today, I was like, I think email marketing is going to be one of the biggest topics of the day. And most people don't really know about email marketing. But today, we're going to dive deep into email marketing SEO and how this really works, because one of the major things that I want to break down is, how do you really think about SEO from email marketing? And I'm not going to be talking like surface level today. I'm going to be going in depth. So just grab your pens, grab your notebooks, grab your thought processes and your strategies, because it's going to be something that you're going to need. And you have to think about, you know, all the different things, especially SEO wise, to get yourself out there as a business, and also, make sure that you're not doing the wrong thing and you're also not stressing out yourself in the process, right? So there has to be something that you have to think about long term, and also ask yourself, okay, are these reflecting? Are they actually going to the places they need to go to? So if they don't, we have to make sure we can fix that in. So I'm excited about this room today. Welcome, Titania, I hope I said it correctly, or Titania, I hope I said it correctly, Brian, Shay, Rehane, and Lynette. How are you guys doing? Welcome to the space. Today's big email marketing SEO. The money's in the list. The money's in the list. And why I really brought this topic is because I was like, a lot of people are marketing. And I don't know, I think I have to really sit down and count the numbers. But just this year alone, I think we've saved, I would say nothing less than about 5 grand. If I cumulatively put it together, a year just for email marketing, that has been sized down to at least a grand or two, because saving money on email marketing is important, and also making money with email marketing is important, because you know how they say you have to spend money to make money, right? But a lot of people are spending money in the wrong places and they're not making money from the right places. So email marketing is where a lot of things happen. I am a proud partner and an amazing, I can say this every single day, that I love Flowdesk. I'm actually meeting the founders, there are two founders at Flowdesk tomorrow. We have a very, exclusive meeting. So I'm meeting the founders of these companies that I represent, I talk about. I won't just tell you, hey, check this out, buy this platform, download. Yeah, you can get them, but what's better is to know that ethics and the technical, it goes a long way, right? SEO is a long-term game, right? And email marketing is also longer, because it's a relationship you're building, right? The most underrated email marketing sequence is the welcome sequence. Because when someone tells you welcome, the way you respond is how you're going to feel throughout that experience. If you walk into a store today and they say welcome, you go to Best Buy, go to Family Dollar, go to Macy's, go wherever you want to go, and you walk in and they say, hey, welcome. How's your day going? You look nice. You smell good. Oh, I love your hair. You start having those conversations, you feel like, oh, wow, I feel seen. I feel welcomed. Oh, somebody noticed this. Now it starts to change, because now they feel like, oh, what do you want? Do you want nails? Do you want hair? Do you want accessories? What is the thing that you're looking for? Because when you now start getting into the email conversation, if I'm sending you emails that are wrong, off, and misaligned, then you're not, it will get to a point where you might just end up not being on the platform. So if you think about the long term plan for email marketing, The money's in the list because there's a relationship you're building. There are people who have been on your list for 5 years and have never paid 1 cent. But the day they open their mouth or send you an email, you will be glad that you kept doing what you were doing because you stayed consistent and you stayed true to your audience. There's a big thing. We've talked about platforms going down. Was it last week or the week before that X was down for almost the whole day? The Twitter X. There was another time Facebook was down too. We've seen platforms go up and down. So if you're thinking about your business, you have to think about what service are you using for your business. So we're going to cover this today for the next hour till the top of the hour. So if you have any questions, please put in the chat. We're going to dive deep today. We're not doing shallow. We're going deep into the ocean. So we're really excited about this. Brian, how are you feeling?
I like diving. Diving is cool, especially into this topic. This is going to be pretty cool. Let's do it.
Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's do this. I'm really excited about this topic because the first thing I wanted to address is size. Size, right? Size. The size of your list, the size of your images, the size of your text, the size of your words. The size. Size matters. The size. That first thing I want you to think about is the size. If you're writing anything down, write the size. 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 Why? When you look at your email, I don't think a lot of people see this, especially when you're sending out emails in mass. Like think of Fashion Nova or just any other platform that's, sends out emails like blasting. Think about the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands emails, millions. You can even go there, you're sending. The way that email is going to go out, it's going to be huge. When you start having, I've started noticing it, like when you start having over 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. I've seen lists that I've had, like there's a client we have, he's in Bosnia. It's a country called Bosnia. And he has a list of 50,000 people on his list on Flowdesk because we connected this back in 2019. This is a client that we met like a while back in the mastermind. He reached out to me on Facebook Messenger. He has a kid now, like a beautiful son, and he's married. Like life, like in 4 or 5 years, life was just transformed. And he called me and said, "I thought about you, Favor," and then boom, we're now working again together. And from 0 subscribers in 2018 when we started, 2025, he has 50,000 subscribers on his Flowdesk account. 50,000. So he's like, Favor, what do I do with these 50,000 people? That's why he came back to me. He's like, Favor, okay, we did this, we grew. Thank God. We have a podcast. We're making money on YouTube. Like a lot is happening. He has a family, he's doing well. And now he's stuck. He's like, okay, now we got 50,000 people. What do we do? And I was like, all right, let's do this again. So I usually have a call. It's a consultation call. It's not implementation, but we have a plan where you pay, $500 for a month and you get 4 hours of training with me, one-on-one recorded. And in that 4 hours throughout the month, we're focusing on tasks and we're building strategies that will roadmap your success based on what you're looking for, whether it is Pinterest, whether it is email, whether it's podcast. That's how it starts. Now, when we did this, I'm just giving you guys like a full transparency, right? And now, as we speak, it's Central Time, 11 a.m. If you think about what I'm about to tell you, just think about it in your own business, in your own industry. What we did is we decided to say, okay, what are we going to do with this 50,000 people? Right? We said, okay, we need to segment them because they already segmented them. Now you wonder, how did somebody get 50,000 contacts organically SEO without paying for ads? And he doesn't pay for ads. He's never paid for ads. It's through podcasting, YouTube, and email. And Google, of course. That's how he's been getting his contacts. But what was the one piece of the puzzle that changed everything was quizzes. He uses quizzes. So people do a quiz, that's a lead, that's qualified, and he's been running it now. Now people are asking for one-on-one coaching with him. He literally reads about, I think he reads about 100 books a month. Like he's really like, he goes in. Yeah.
That's a lot of books, man.
Yeah,
Whoa.
bro. He's not joking. Like
Yikes.
go to actually let me tell you who he is. Go to YouTube and type in SF Walker. SF Walker. Igor SF Walker. Check him out. Just check him out. I don't want to like fluff things today. I don't fluff things at all. I just want to give you guys straight facts, straight case studies. This is kind of like a middle of funnel talk today because normally we talk about what is SEO and all these things. I want to give you guys the meat and potatoes, right, of what we do in the back end with clients so that you also don't get to see like all these things we talk about. So these are exclusive conversations we're about to have today. So he has 50,000 subscribers. What are you going to do with 50,000 people? His YouTube has grown. Now he's monetized. He's doing so well, right? And we now had to go through a whole month. He's like, favor, okay, bet. And guess how he even paid me? In digital currency. It wasn't even through like it was through digital currency. Like I'm giving you guys the meat and the potatoes today. So that's how you start building relationships with people, right? Then the next thing is okay, this 4 hours we have are very special, right? We can't waste these 4 hours. In 4 hours, what we created was a segmented list on Flowdesk whereby each and every workflow, because it's like a machine, it's like an automated workflow. And I've looked at it in a way where it's like, okay, this is something that he's doing because there's a difference between when you have a list of 1,000 people and a list of 50,000 people. Because the difference is like there's a way you run the system that you don't want to also overwork the system. That's another thing. When you're sending out emails in a sequence of weekly emails, that's great because that keeps people alert, that keeps people awake, and that allows people to connect. There are platforms like I got to know yesterday. Another client was telling me that she would we moved her from Constant Contact to Flowdesk because for you to even get a resend, because you know how you do resends after 24 hours with platforms, you'd have to upgrade to get that plan on the same number of emails that you have. So let's say you have 1,000 subscribers, but you want this feature, you have to upgrade. That's an overhead cost you have to accumulate, right? So we're helping you save money with Flowdesk, whereby you have unlimited subscribers, unlimited emails. They've connected and they've partnered up with Amazon SES, which is simple email service. So when you hear Amazon, you hear quality, you hear deliverability, you hear sustainability. That's what we're working with. I'm meeting up with the founders tomorrow, so I'm super excited about this call, right? Today is Wednesday, yeah, tomorrow is the call, March 20th. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, y'all need to know about email marketing because you're either doing it wrong or you're not doing it the way you want it to be. Not because your content is not being reached, it's just probably because there's a technical error. You might have a full, beautiful presentation, but if there's a technical error on stage, no one's gonna see that beautiful piece. So we have to fix the technical. If your house is leaking, you're not going to watch TV because something's going to get electrocuted. You don't want that. So fix the house first. Then you can play around the house or you can sit around the house. But before anything happens, you need to fix what's wrong. So we're going to dive deep today. I'm just giving you guys a little bit of some things. I won't tell you, of course, all the things that we're doing with the clients, but just want to make sure that at least you have a scope of understanding of where we're going with this topic today. So Brian, what's going on? And we'll come to you, James. Welcome to the room and welcome everybody to the space.
What's going on with me? I love email marketing. The only thing I'm thinking about though, right? So email marketing has become it's one of the best conversion methods out there, right? But I mean, I don't want to put a damper on this, but it's become increasingly hard to do email marketing. But I love email marketing. It always, always, always works. It's one of the best because one of the main reasons why email marketing works is because it's personal. It's right in the person's inbox, but it's not always easy to get there. So I'm excited to talk about this conversation too. I can feel the energy in your voice and I'm ready to go. Let's talk more about it.
Let's go. I'm excited too. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. James, welcome to the room. What are your thoughts, questions, suggestions? Let's go. James, you there? James going once. James going twice. All right, James, interrupt me when you're back. Go ahead, Brian.
No, it's all good. I was just waiting for James as well. I was like, "Oh, he looks a lot like Elon Musk," and then I realized that he just had a. It's all good. All right, so let's get into this. Tell me more about this email marketing. You got me riding a wave here now. Let's get the gears rolling and talk about this more. I'm on more on the YouTube side. Remember our last conversation, but tell me more about this. What's going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. I'll break it down with this, 50,000 email lists, segmenting, because when you start connecting with people on a deep level, you start to realize that even the people that are on your email list have a social profile. A lot of people kind of think of email marketing and then they detach it from social commerce or social connections, because it's like, if I have an email, I have a personal email, I have a professional email, I have, some people have burner emails, dummy emails. So, what email are they putting into your system? Do they use that email, or do they skim that email? Do they delete that email, or do they even have it on their priority list? That's a big question. And thank you so much for that question, Lynette. What are ways to build your email list? Yes, quizzes. Quizzes. That's how he got to 50,000 subscribers in, for what, 2019, 2025, 6 years, organically. And it takes time. Now, the next question is, okay, how do we turn these people who have taken this quiz, who have downloaded this ebook? There's also something called a social unlock. I don't know if you've ever heard about something like this. It's called social unlock. A social unlock, right? If this is the first time you're hearing this word, this is what it means. A social unlock, if I put this in a campaign perspective, right? A social unlock means that if I have an Instagram post that I want you to see that has a direct link to the exact location, and you can put in any other thing. Maybe you can put a YouTube unlisted video that is not accessible to the public, that is only focused on just giving content to that one specific problem, solution, framework. Then before that person get access to that link, that URL, they will need to fill in the information. Now, the difference is, of course, you can say that's an opt-in page, that's a landing page, that's a request form. You can call it anything, right? But it's a social unlock because it's on social media. So if it's on Instagram, then that's what happens. A perfect example is like artists, like, because I'm also in the entertainment business industry, as an artist, drummer, producer, songwriter, I make music as well. I know this for a fact. When you think about it in the entertainment business industry, right? When you have a social unlock, let's say, for example, somebody's about to drop, like, let's say, for example, Kendrick, right? When he was about to drop the dates for the tour, right? People will have to leave their contact information to get exclusive information about the days that the first tickets for pre order with Ticketmaster were available. So that's a social unlock. You have to put in your contact information as an email, because that's the preferred contact information you want to get alerts. When you get an email confirmation, that tells you that something happened. When you book a flight, when you book a hotel, when you book something, even a restaurant, you want a booking confirmation email. That's going to tell you that yes, received. If you don't get that confirmation email, you need it because you don't have it. So when that information comes to you, it's secured. You might put a star on it, you might put a priority inbox into it, you might screenshot it, you might print it, whatever you want to do. That's email. Like Brian said, it's in the inbox. So when you now think about segmenting your emails, putting them in workflows that people can connect with, and you now have quizzes and somebody clicks on events on your email, that means this person that clicked events means that they are interested in events about this topic. Then when then that bucket, you now send them and say, hey, thanks for, checking out our events. What events are you interested in? Then they now get to tell you. From there, you're getting deeper into the layers because you're allowing them to understand more about your concepts. So when you're saying that the money's in the list because the contact information that is in that list is information that is important. So you don't want to have a list that has dummy emails. You don't want to have a list that has secondary emails. You want to have primary emails that people can use, that when they're able to now connect with you and you retarget, because that's where the email marketing and the money comes in. Because when you retarget emails that are on your list, they need to be primary email contacts that actually can show up. If somebody is logging into Facebook, they're logging in with an email account that has an address. If you're running ads on Facebook, then that's the email address that is on your email list, that is what they're logging in with, or that's what they have access to if they have a page. So when you start creating concepts like this, then you start building awareness. And then from awareness, you can start letting people know, hey, check this out, check this out. Because the email marketing piece is not just about, the sales. That's what everyone thinks about. Yeah, email marketing, sales, 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 sales. Yes. But the story is the perfect way to start. Because when you're telling that story, people are listening and they're reading. Because emails are so important. We know about emails. So if we're thinking about the size of the emails, we're thinking about how well this is connected. So I talked about size earlier. What is the size? When you send an email, there's always something called a size file or a file size, however you want to call it. That file size is going to be in a measurement of kilobytes. That's a metric. So if it's in kilobytes, that means if I sent you this email and this email is 18 kilobytes, and my competitor is sending an email that's 1800 kilobytes, at some point, the emails that would have to be deleted when this person's email starts getting full is that person's email first. But they might switch it. There might be a plot twist whereby your emails might be the ones deleted, not because there's not much information there, but it may not have as much resources, right? And that person may say, okay, I'm going to keep a star on this one because I know with this email, I can have access to this. Or vice versa. You can say, I'm just going to do plain text HTML, which is really preferred because email is, the simpler it is, the better. Because if you have an article and you send them 3 lines and they read those 3 lines in 10 seconds, and then they spend the rest of the minute, that's 50 seconds on your website, that's 50 seconds you've added to your website as opposed to the 60 seconds you'd have given them on the email. So time is of the essence, right? So it's like a TikTok movement. So you have to think about the time they're spending when they're reading that subject line, when they're reading that preview text, when they're reading the subject of that email, and when they're reading the information regarding that email. So when they're now reading it, they're learning about what you're telling them. If you start off with a question in an email, now you're intriguing them. It's like a movie. The first 5 to 10 minutes in the movie really tells you what the movie is about to be. And that kind of like sets the tone, right? Because that's introduction one, that's act one. So when you think about the scenes that you're setting up in the creativity, you're asking them a question, then that question leads to an answer. Did you know? Da, 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 da. Then before you know it, they're now engaged with you. Now you ask them a question, put it in a poll. Then put it in a poll, let people respond back. That's how you're able to know, okay, these people work for like from here to here because you're sending out emails that are not too heavy, right? Flowdesk is great too because of all text, the alternative text that you can also add onto the back end. Because when you start thinking about the size of this email, if you upload an email with an image that's, let's say, 3 megabytes, 2 megabytes, that's adding on top of the HTML text because the capital letter W and the small letter W have a different pixel size completely. There's a different size between those two. The capital L and the small l, that's a different size. When you think about the quality, that's why when you send an email with all small caps, instead of, instead of it being like caps lock, then, or all caps, then you can really have a good, decent conversation with them because you're parsing information from a sentence case rather than a title case. Go ahead, Brian.
Boom. Yeah. So lowercase, uppercase, this is so important when you're sending out emails. I'd love to answer that question down in the chat, but first let me talk about uppercase, lowercase. You're going down a way different. You're telling some good truths here about the uppercase, lowercase, but something really, really, that I learned years ago with the uppercase, lowercase is that, let's say your subject line, and I love, Favor, how you kind of say your email is a movie, right? You start with that subject line, which is the hook, the title of your movie, and don't put it all in caps because that just flags it as, in some instances, that flags it as spam. So uppercase, lowercase, always use, I mean, this is my opinion and my experiences from the past and now, is that if you're using uppercase in your subject line, there's not really a great chance of positive deliverability for your email. Some servers flag it as spam. Some servers just don't like it, period. And what you said about making it really, really quick, I don't know if you said like maybe data heavy or content heavy, but when we're talking about content heavy, when you're sending out emails, you want that subject line just to be like a thumbnail on YouTube. You have that subject line, which is the hook. When they open it up, you make your email short and sweet to the point, and they read it with a call to action. I mean, no longer than 30 seconds. So if you're sending an email newsletter or some kind of email, make sure they're reading it in under 30 seconds or under a minute even, because no one has time for this anymore. So if you want your message to really resonate and have some impact, not only, you were talking about segmentation before, which is huge. You're segmenting these audiences and you're giving them relevant content and information that they need. That's so important. Segmenting is relevant information. That's what they want to read and hear. So making it short and sweet with that call to action in the end is so important. So I want to answer that question in the chat because this is so common with so many people. How do I build my email list? And for me, it's so important to build an email list. I mean, if you're on any social platform, X, YouTube, Facebook, it is so important to start asking your followers or networking with individuals or sending DMs is to build an email list because you never know. Building your house on someone else's property, that you don't own, they could just take that rug from underneath your feet in a heartbeat. So it's always so important to collect email addresses from your followers. And it's not easy. There are tricks to do it. There's scraping tricks to do. There are, quizzes, like you said. There's free tools that will, collect email addresses if you have contests or giveaways, which is the great thing to do, collecting those email addresses. So there are a couple of tools out there right now that I use, and I'm going to share it with the group here. It's called Rake Data, RAEKDATA. And there's another one called Pearl Diver, which is a little bit more expensive. And how I build lists for my clients is, quizzes are great, giveaways are great, but you always get that person. Everyone now, I think, has that spam email address, right? I know I have one. It's like, brianspam@hotmail.com, right? So a good majority of that list who goes into a good majority of those individuals who give their email address for quizzes or giveaways, they put it into a spam dumpster, right? So it's not really good for follow-up or good for sales or good for building a lasting relationship. So Rake Data is one of the tools that I use. It's great because, and there's many tools like it, but this has been the most stable and the most, the most stable and the most consistent. So when someone visits your website, you have a piece of code on the bottom of your website in the back end in the source code. And when someone visits your website, it instantly gathers their email address. And at the end of the month, let's say you have 5,000 visitors to your website. At the end of the month, you go to this tool and you can download a CSV file of everyone's email who visited your website. Now, it's not recommended to spam these people right away. And it is spam because unbeknownst to them, you just gathered their email address. They didn't opt in. They didn't know you were gathering their email address. They had no clue. So it's best to start validating these email addresses. And for me, segmenting them into smaller lists where you actually just send a personalized email to. And this is a way to build your list. Not only just, gathering emails from everyone on your social media channels, so you can have a following, your Patreon, whatever you're on, there's a way to collect these email addresses. Even if you're like using webinars, if you're doing Zoom webinars and you're in like Eventbrite and people sign up for your webinar, that's a great way to gather email addresses too. And most of the time, those are legit email addresses. People that go into to go for contests or giveaways or quizzes. Sometimes that's, like I said earlier, that's some of those aren't really our spam folders. But that's one way to collect email addresses. Is two ways to collect email addresses is to ask them, or do it subtly in the back end and basically collect it as they visit your website. And again, email is such a cool marketing tool, and there's so much more to it than just gathering those email addresses, putting them into a list, segmenting them, creating content. There's a science to it as well. There's a creative side to it. There's a technical side to it, and you got to get it right because it's getting harder and harder. Because as someone said in the chat earlier, it's getting harder and harder and harder to make that email deliverable. Now there's all sorts of tools, Favor, and I'm sure you can attest this too, that maybe I'm going off on the rails here on a different kind of topic, but yeah, let's go. There's tools now where, not only can you validate these email addresses, but it's wise to warm them up, right? I don't know if you've ever been involved in email warm up, and that keeps you out of the spam folders too. So maybe that's something that we can chit chat about. I could talk about email marketing forever because it's the most successful marketing technique, and it's free, but it's very hard to navigate, and you got to know how to do it. Even down to the creative with the subject line, like I said earlier. If you have a really poor subject line, and it's great to customize it. It's like, hey, I get an email today, Brian. I would like to talk with you, or Brian, let's take a look at this together. I open it up. Other than another subject line that says, hey, I have something to offer you, and it's not really customized to me. It doesn't make me feel. It's not personalized. So there's a whole bunch of science to it on the creative side and on the technical side to get email right. And it's not that easy. I don't want to be discouraging, but if you're going to invest your time and your energy into email marketing, it's best to do it right. And it is easy if you have the correct tools. Wouldn't you agree, Favor?
I totally agree on that. There's 100% quality assurance in, connecting with people that want to be actually on your email list and stay there. Because when they stay there, it means there's a reason why they're opening your emails. They may not open it today. Like you send an email today, that email you sent today may be open for the first time 3 months from now. That's the beautiful thing about emails. So you're not thinking about, oh, I got an open rate of 2%. That's you're thinking about that 24 hours after. The goal is what you sent. Did that email resonate? Did it stay connected to the person that you're connecting with? And did you understand why you sent that email in the first place? So it definitely makes a lot of sense, like you said that. And I think the two P's I would say that are very important for emails. These are the two P's. You need to have these two things. If you don't have these two P's, it's going to be hard to really have that tenacity. The first P is personality. You have to definitely show that because you're sending email as a brand. It's not Favor. Even though that may be the name or that's your name, when you put your name, they're also reading about what you do as a brand. So if you're showcasing your brand with your logo, with your signature, with your content, with your workflow, with your messaging, there's a lot that goes into, does somebody open that email? Because there's something called email blindness. There's something called email blindness, meaning that I see that you send me an email, but I actually delete the email before I open the email. That's what happens. And that's not good because you didn't even get a chance to see it because that email was not, it's not an email you don't even want to have. So that's a, you don't want to be on that side of the fence. So if you're sending out emails, especially when you talked about that brand with, data, you have to think about the people who are connecting with you. Even if you get their contact information, are they going to stay? And if they stay, will they ever respond? It's always this question of crickets. Are they really doing anything? But they're actually consuming this information. But the way to respond back is now, like you said, polls, quizzes, surveys, doing all these things because the feedback you're getting is that retention, right? And it makes a lot of sense. And there's something I'm going to start doing. And you guys can take this for free because it was freely given to me yesterday, and I'm going to freely give it to you today. Here it is. And the podcast is not out yet because I had a powerful episode yesterday recording with somebody I met through LinkedIn. And we talked about e commerce. He talked about some really deep stuff. And I'll just tell you one of the things he said that for me, I'm like, I'm going to start doing that because I want to be very intentional. That way I can be able to scale further. If you've never tried this, try it out because this is what he told me yesterday. And I was like, yeah, I think I should tell my people, I should tell my community because I didn't think about it like that. And when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. So this is what he said in the podcast episode. It will be out in April. This is a We Don't Play podcast show. He said that he started changing this technique at some point and it changed his life forever. At the thank you page, we talked about the welcome page sequence, right? The welcome email sequence. Now, one of the things he said is that when you get to the thank you page, whether you have a product or a service, because I'm going to start doing that, because this question is going to really help you understand who you serve and how you serve. The question is, after the thank you page, whether it's in form of an email, whether it's in form of the first time you're talking to this person, whether it's in form of a phone call, whatever it is, the first contact, when you tell a person thank you and you connect with them, because the thank you page is thank you in person. So don't just think about an electronic message. Think about the actual person you're connecting with. He said this, when you say thank you, ask your new client, your new customer, your new consumer, your new first time user, right? Because this is like introduction, this is orientation day, right? Ask this person, what made you almost not buy? Think about that question because the response you get back is what you're going to use to understand things that in your business you could fix so that when you're clear in your message, you're not all over the place. And if you do that in form of an email, a lot of things can start to happen. And back to the message of the day, that could happen for your business too, in form of blogs, in forms of SEO, in forms of media, in forms of content, because you're controlling what they're seeing, but you're also giving them what they're looking for. Brian, what do you think about that? And then to top that, on top of that, when you talked about rake data, is Happier Leads better than that or nah?
Oh, I love Happier Leads. I love Happier Leads. It actually scores it. Have you used Happier Leads? I feel like I'm the only marketer on the planet that that uses that tool, and I'm kind of surprised that you
Yeah, I
mentioned it.
actually connected with what? You know what? I'm gonna before I say anything, because I always want to make sure I say it correctly. I'm about to check. I'm checking my email. We're talking about emails today and Happier Leads. So with Happier Leads, I have been using it, and I'm loving everything about Happier Leads, and how we've been able to connect the dots, connect with the people that have, used it for their benefit, learning about, okay, are we using Happier Leads for, connecting with people, or are we just using it because we want to show up online? And I've seen like a mixture of two things. And one of the things I noticed with Happier Leads is that there's no way you can be on Happy Leads. Yes, I wanted to know who he was. He's a marketing and sales growth expert because I talked with him. I had a call with him. His name is George. I wanted to just make sure I got that email before I said anything. So I've had a conversation with George. on Happier Leads, and I've talked with him, and we actually recorded an episode as well for the podcast to discuss about Happier Leads, the ins and outs and everything, the dynamics, so technical and all those good stuff. Why I asked about that compared to Rake Data, because before I use a platform or tell anyone about a platform, I want to connect with the person that invented the platform or is connected to the platform because it's a software. So that allows me to be more intentional with how it works. And, that also gives more intent, and it actually works because every week you get a repeated email of CSV files. Like every week you set it on auto and you get every week. Like for me on Happier Leads, I think since I started, I've seen about 400 leads. That's the last time I checked. And that was maybe about a month ago. 400 leads from Happier Leads that are receiving emails that have not unsubscribed. So it's like, huh? So you think about it, like you said, it makes sense. And I told him, hey, I would love to tell the community about this, but I don't want to be telling people what to do because they have their own decisions that they need to make. But I also want to make sure that they're taking the right decisions and making the right executive decisions for their business when it comes to costs and overhead costs and expenses, when they're looking at different subscriptions and softwares that are focused on email marketing and communication systems. So if there are platforms that you can upload CSV files, because I found platforms like that, like on Shopify, there's some apps that you can't even upload a CSV file to their platform. And I was like, what? It's weird. So everyone has their own policies, they have their own servers, they have their own ESPs, email service providers. A lot of things are going on technically. And if you're not compliant, and if you're not really thinking about the long term effect, then it could hurt your website more than help you because your email is literally directly connected to your domain. And that's where the DNS servers are, your domain name servers. Anything you do email wise, websites, that's your DNS record. So if anything is compromised or malfunctioning, that's going to have a defect on your emails. It's going to have a defect on how you get responses. A lot of things happen because you can't have access to things. Two-factor authentication starts happening. You don't want to get into those nitty gritties because it's worse. You rather just, that's why anytime you get into SEO or any kind of thing, the first thing is protect. Protect, protect, protect. Why? Protect HTTPS, protect your domain, protect your emails, authenticate your DMs, make sure that everything is working for your business. Your DNS records have to work. Your DKIM has to work. That means your domain keys identifier mail. That's what it means. What that just means is basically what email provider or service are you using? Because with those keys, they are records, right? They are A records, they are CNAME records, canonical records, right? Those are directly connected to your domain. They're TXT records, which is human read text records. These are records that algorithms, search engines are scanning on a daily basis, scraping out the data to get your information and also make sure you can also be compliant with their servers. So it's a lot going on.
So true. So true. So highly recommended to never ever ever send email because it's a landmine that you're navigating. Never send email from your main domain. So let me give you an example. So I have another website, a client, fastergig.com, and they have a huge list, and they never ever ever send their emails from at fastergig.com. Now, we kind of came up like the CEO was kind of like, hey, if people see this email coming from somewhere else, they're not going to really open it up. The trust factor gets diminished. They're going to be feeling a little sketchy. So what we did was we actually bought the domain name Faster Gig, but instead of an I, it's a lowercase l, so it looks like an I. So fastergig.com, and that's where we send out all of the email, whether it's marketing campaigns, subscriptions, newsletters, transactional emails, it all goes through that different domain. So instead of fastergig with an IG.com, all of the email is handled through fasterg lowercase lg.com, and to the naked eye, it looks like it's still coming from us, and you still maintain that trust. So I'm not saying get that complicated, but it's really cool to, it's actually etiquette to not send emails from your domain. And technically, it's not a wise thing to do because if you get blacklisted, so does your domain and everything that comes from it that you're sending out through email. So, highly recommended to never, ever, ever send your emails through your main domain. So, some good points there, Favor.
Brian, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to challenge you right now. You know, we had a fight on Friday about YouTube and
Yeah, and you
Pinterest.
lost, but
No, I didn't. Now, YouTube and Pinterest is an amazing topic. No, for sure. We're going to run that one back for sure. It was great. I don't even think it was a lot. I think it was 50-50 because it was not even, it was like comparing
yeah, we
apples to
were having
oranges.
fun, man. We were having fun. We were
You
smacking
know,
each other around. It was good.
it was really dope. You know, now you mentioned something that even Soma, thank you for mentioning that too. And Austin, I saw that in the chat. 6 Cents versus RB2B Food. Enter Happy Leads. Great room and topics per usual. Thank you so much. Now, someone says, you know, that has never been an advice heard before. And I said, okay, in my head, as you were speaking, that's why like I turned on the eye emoji. I was like, wait a minute. Isn't that a little bit of gray hat SEO?
Yeah, yeah, it is, and only you know that. I'm not going to explain anymore, but only you know that because you brought it up. But you know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I can clear that. Just because I've seen it. That's why I was like, huh, let me ask this question. Because a lot of people don't really see those things and they don't know. And when they hear them, they're like, okay. Because if something happens and then your domain gets compromised, like we've seen big websites like Forbes, HubSpot, they've tanked in traffic. It's happened before. I think was it Social Media Examiner? I saw them on LinkedIn. I think is his name Mike? I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael. I can't remember. It should be, but I have a visual memory. So if I forget that, please let me know and just correct me. But I saw that on LinkedIn and I was really like surprised. I was like, huh, interesting. Huh. Okay. So their servers also had a problem. And then, you hear all these companies, and of course, we've seen big companies, traffic go down and everything. And we wonder, okay, if these guys can go down this big, what makes us stay on top or afloat? That's usually the question. And I just came to realize that when I think about SEO, I just think about the technical. Because if I see your website and I see your sitemap and I see the link on your sitemap isn't directing me to the exact location because the sitemap looks different to me, that means it's going to look different to the algorithm, meaning that it's never going to be seen because it's not connected. So you should send emails from your main domain. For me, I would do that because of something called a sender score, your sender reputation, and everybody has their own thing. Like you can definitely play, white hat, black hat, gray hat. I'm white hat, so everybody has their own. And there's so many like over 40 types of SEO. So we're not even going to go into that depth. But you just want the basic thing you want. Anybody that hears SEO, all they want is results. If anybody is thinking about SEO, all they want to hear is results. That's all. Because I was checking Google Alerts today and I searched SEO and it's like a lot of companies are getting frustrated because they are not getting like they're spending a lot of money on social media but they're not receiving results on their websites equals SEO that's not done. So it's kind of like they're doing the reverse. So now they're looking at SEO like, oh, we should have been on this side instead of this side. Since 2020, everybody's been on social media and our websites have been abandoned. So it's like people are waking up. That's just what I'm trying to say. So it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So, for those who don't know, gray hat SEO. So, I'm always one when it comes to marketing. I'm always the type of person that pushes the limits of what's acceptable, right? And I like how diplomatic you were there, Favor, by saying that's gray hat SEO. Of course it is because it's not. again, that goes with my style. I push the limits of what's acceptable without being illegal, right? So what I'm doing with that domain name and not sending emails is not banned, but it can be very risky. So, it does sound smart, but for this particular client, for this particular CEO, they didn't want to use their domain name to send out emails to. So gray hat is that middle ground between white, which is good SEO tactics, which and black, which is the bad SEO tactics, and then you have the gray, everything in between. So again, I'm the one who likes to push those limits on what's acceptable. So just give everybody a heads up on that.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that clarification. Yeah, I love that people can get to hear this because you don't hear this every day and we don't even talk about it. Probably we should make that a topic. If you guys want that as a topic, put a one in the chat. Like the differences between white hat, gray hat, black hat, SEO. Just put a one in the chat if you really want to, understand this concept so that you know what's happening. Because, businesses are getting to learn about SEO. Companies I want to work with, agencies. They never say, "Hey, we do white hat SEO. Hey, we do black." They don't tell you. How would you know? How will you know?
Well, I'm right in saying that, right? Like black hat is bad, white hat is good, gray is kind of in the middle. Um, Another gray tactic is like I have to admit I did last week. There was a domain name that was expiring, it had a lot of authority, and it had some strong backlinks. So we bought the domain name and redirected all of that traffic to a new website. So that's what would you consider that? Gray hat, white. What would you consider that, Favor?
At this point, I don't even know.
It's risky. It's risky. I mean, so if Google flags you as like manipulative, and if that expired domain isn't relevant to the site, so you got to be really, like, let's say you're selling fences, or yard fences, and the site you just bought with strong backlinks is, a roofing company. Of course, Google's going to see that as manipulative, but you could be a little careful. And again, I'm in the gray area, and I like to push the limits and the boundaries because if there's an opportunity there to grow traffic and business, of course you got to take advantage of it. Everybody does, right? I think.
Brian, we have 5 more minutes to go, and this is the first time I'm gonna say this. I never knew you were gray hat, and I feel like now it's very exciting, but at the same time very thrilling. But also like, okay, that's what that's fine. That's definitely different because of course there are people who like to do that because that way you're able to like kind of see what's going on. It's like you push the buttons. Like for me, I'm all the way white hat SEO, fair play. I make sure like, okay, if I'm number one, okay, if I'm number three, okay, if I'm number 10, then okay. Like I'll make sure that I'm optimizing it in a fair way. But I'm glad that we're also talking about this, and thank you as well, Summer and Jackie. So we're gonna bring this topic up so that people get to know what are these things. Because sometimes backlinks, I think, is the worst of them all. Backlinks, worst of them all. Hey, we get you backlinks. We're gonna get you backlinks. Back what? Back off. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, back off. Yeah, it's a lot of BS.
Hey, Renee, we got 4 minutes. You
Oh,
wanna light it
Renee is
up?
always she always is that cherry on top of every episode so far.
Hey, so the backlinks people we've had forever, right? That are saying, I'll get you backlinks and get you to number one in 3 days or whatever they're going to do. Anything that is promised with that seems above and beyond what everybody else is doing, that's going to be your key that they're probably a black hat. But the new one that is coming out and you've probably seen it. If not, you've already thought about it. You may not have seen it in action, but the one that says, I will get you in all the AI search areas. I will get you on Perplexity. I will get you on ChatGPT and search and AI overview. So that's the newest one. And guys, just go optimize your website. Get your Bing. If you don't have your webmaster tools set up, if you aren't, so there's Google Search Console, do that. Set yourself up with that. And then the Comparable on the Bing side is you're going to set up your Bing Webmaster Tools and make sure your site is indexed over there. That's what ChatGPT is pulling from, because Microsoft oft owns Bing, owns well, has a big interest in ChatGPT. And so do that. Optimize your website for SEO to be found everywhere. Do all the things that you've been told to do, and then just chill. Nobody knows how that's all working behind the scenes. We just know you do the SEO and you're showing up, because I'm sure you guys can all attest. You've checked for your clients, they're all showing up. We all go and we say restaurant in Houston, best XYZ restaurant in Houston, and you do it in front of your client, and they pop up one, two, or three. You go solid, sold, bing, bada boom, and we're doing what we can do. And that's all you can do, is you can show them that they're showing up in all the AI overviews and all the chat searches and all of that. There is no magic bullet outside of doing all the things. And if I was at a college campus, I would put my card table up. I'd throw a poster board over the front of it that says, what I just said, prove me wrong. So I would do that and sit there in my chair and let people come up to me and prove me wrong that what I just said. And I would challenge you guys with it. But I think you're probably going to agree. Do all the things and you're going to show up in all the AI searches.
I love that. Thank you so much for that. Cherry on top was very spicy, I must say, for sure. Thank you. Thank you for that, because I definitely understand that, when people are learning about SEO, they should not only just think about all these things, but also how they're showing up, because that domain authority is important. And where you show up is also important. When you say like your net work is your net worth, your network is your URL. Your net worth is your backlinks. So when you start thinking about the people you connect with, the higher you're able to be in places that have authority, the more places you can dominate when you're connecting with them through email. So just think about that, and it will definitely take you to the top. Brian, you want to say something before we go?
Yeah, yeah. Too bad we have to go, man, because I would love to get into this topic about voice search, right? Because I'm feeling it's a scam to some extent, and would like to talk more about it. I think if your website is optimized for search, and you're doing the right thing, if you were to go to like Alexa and ask her, who's I have Alexa right in front of me right now, and if I go, Alexa, give me a landscape company in my area, right? It's going to come up. And she found a few nearby options already. Now, how do these guys get into how do these businesses get into voice search? I mean, we should talk more about this because it's an interesting topic. Let's debunk the myths, I say.
Yeah, we will. We will. And I feel like one of the greatest areas that you can definitely be on Alexa is podcasts. Now, that's going to be a cliffhanger for you, so that when you come back next time, we can start from there and then, tap into Amazon, podcasts, Prime, music, all the great stuff. And, it's been a great room. I'm glad we definitely tackled this. And yeah, the money is in the list. You got to get the primary email, you got to get the primary contact, and when you run ads, get the right information, don't get the wrong contact, and know exactly who you're talking to, so that when you talk to them, you know that they're responding back based on how you want the conversation to go. So, appreciate you all. Love this room. Appreciate you for coming here, Brian. Thank you for being here, James. I hope you had a great time, and I would definitely would love to hear from you when you come back again. Soma, Sack Black, Kurt, Ju, Jackie, Riches, Greg, Hardley, Tim, Ali, Justice, Elm, and everyone in the room that was here earlier as well. Appreciate you. Have a blessed day, and I'm gonna see you guys soon. Connect with me. The replays are on. And you can also go to wedon'tplaypodcast.com or playinc.online, or just hit the link above and can get on a call with me so we can talk and get you sorted out for 2025. So with that said, have a blessed day and happy Thursday, Wednesday, whatever day it is. Let's go. Boom.